Okay, so the kingdom, the Alexander the Great has destroyed the Persian kingdom, taken over all of its territory, plus the territory he already had, a massive empire from Greece to India, but it gets broken up. He dies at the peak of his power. His son is too young to fight for his kingdom, so he's killed. His wife is killed. His progenitors will not receive his seed will not receive the kingdom. His generals will get it instead. And they're going to break it up and each carve out a slice of it for themselves. And that's the situation leading into chapter 11, verse 5. Okay, so the king of the south, and that's Ptolemy I, the first king of the south, Ptolemy I Soter. His years are 323, his years of his reign, by the way. Not the years of his life, but the years of his reign. 323 to 285 BC. This is going to be kind of tricky. I'm going to have to hold this and this at the same time. The king of the south will become strong. But one of his commanders will become even stronger than he. This is his commander, Seleucus, who started out as, well, he was obviously, they're all Alexander's generals originally. But this guy was originally Ptolemy's general. Originally started, wait, hang on a second. Let me continue reading. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself in my notes here. The king of the south, Ptolemy I, will become strong. But one of his commanders will become even stronger than he, and will rule his own kingdom with great power. After some years, they'll become allies. Okay. So that is Seleucus, the king of the north, and Ptolemy, the king of the south, and Seleucus. They team up against a guy named Antiochus and get rid of him. And Seleucus then becomes king of the north, which includes Syria, Palestine, and I think Babylon as well, the old Babylonian kingdom. Seleucus has that as well. Ptolemy has Egypt. And then, like I said, the other two guys are just kind of out of the picture. They're up in Europe and Asia Minor, and they're basically out of the picture for now. We'll care about them again when the Romans take them over and the Romans start coming our way. But for the time being, those other two halves of the Grecian Empire are just not very important. Okay, so now we have a king in the south called Ptolemy, and a king in the north called Seleucus. The commander who becomes first king in the north is Seleucus I Nicator, from the years 311 to 280 BC. I'm not sure if that's, I think so, I think it's 0. It takes him a little while to get established because he has to kick the current guy, the previous guy, out of there. But he becomes the king of the north. After some years, they'll become allies. The daughter of the king of the south. Now, by the way, throughout this passage, we're going to be using these titles, king of the south and king of the north, to refer to different men. They're not the same guy all the time. I'm going to obviously be talking about this. But just so you know, like the subject will switch, and yet we're not going to get any indication of that because we're going to be using the same titles for all of them. There will be multiple kings of the south and multiple kings of the north. It is not all the same guy. We're covering a span of 180 or so years of history here. So there's multiple men who are the kings of the north and the kings of the south. But the text is not going to mention that. It's just going to keep calling them by the singular subject, king of the south or king of the north. And so we have to follow along and pay attention to when that person switches, because it's not going to be the same guy every time. So, the daughter of the king of the south will go to the king of the north to make an alliance. And this is the second king of the south, Ptolemy II Ephiphanes, 285 to 246 BC. That's the king of the south that we're talking about here. This is his daughter, Berenice. And the king of the north is Antiochus IV Soter, 280 to 261 BC. So Ptolemy is going to give his daughter Berenice to the king of the north to make an alliance. But she will not retain her power, and he, in his power, will not last. There's a footnote down here saying his offspring will not last. Where am I? In those days, she, the daughter, will be handed over, together with her royal escort and her father, her child, and the one who supported her. Okay, so Berenice, so the guy that Berenice is given to in marriage, Antiochus, had a wife already named Laodice. Laodice did not like being set aside for Berenice, so she poisoned Berenice and killed her and her child. Around the same time that Ptolemy II, the father of Berenice, died. That was in the year 246 BC. Ptolemy II died in 246 BC, as did as did Berenice, who was poisoned, and Antiochus II. The king that received Berenice as a wife is Antiochus II Theos, reigned from 261 to 246 BC. They all died the same year of 246 BC, because this arrangement did not work out. Laodice, the original wife of Antiochus II, did not like being cast aside for the sake of Berenice, so she poisoned her and her son, and I think maybe her husband too. And then the father died, Ptolemy II. Oh, they all happened in 246 BC. So that alliance did not last. One from her family line, so Ptolemy. This is. I'm going to have to flip the page to find out who this is. This is Ptolemy III. Something. I can't read my own handwriting. It doesn't really matter what their subtitles are. Just Ptolemy III. 246 to 221 BC. So her brother will arise to take her place. So he is mad that his sister was poisoned. His father has also died, although I don't know if his father died probably around the same time through different circumstances. He, Ptolemy III, will attack the forces of the king of the north, which is, well, let's see here. Who is the king of the north this time? So after Laodice gets her revenge on her former husband and his new family, she puts her own sons on the throne, King Seleucus II, 246 to 226 BC. So this is Seleucus II. So we had a Seleucus I, an Antiochus I, and now a Seleucus II. This is the son of Laodice, and he's the one that she wanted on the throne. So he is now the king. So the Ptolemy III, the king of the south, will attack the forces of the king of the north, Seleucus II, and enter his fortresses. He will fight against him and be victorious. He will also seize their gods, their metal images, and their valuable articles of silver and gold, and carry them off to Egypt. This was the stuff, actually, that was originally from Egypt and was taken away by Cambyses, the Persian king, 100 years earlier, actually a couple hundred years earlier now, when he conquered Egypt in 525 BC. So there's long histories here, long memories, long grudges being settled. For some years, he will leave the king of the north alone. Then the king of the north will invade the realm of the king of the south. Okay, so who are... I need this. I have an itch in my eye. The king of the north, in this case, is the son... Hang on. Where are we here? Sons of the king of the north. Seleucus III and Antiochus III. Antiochus III is the big one. One of the big ones. Seleucus III reigned from 226 to 223 BC, so not very long. And Antiochus III reigned from 223 to 187 BC, so a pretty long time. The king of the north will invade the realm of the king of the south, but will retreat to his own country, so he doesn't get very far. His sons, I guess that's who these would be actually, these two sons, will prepare for war and assemble a great army, which will sweep on like an irresistible flood and carry the battle as far as his fortress. That would be the king of the south's fortress. This is the battle of Rephaim in 217 BC, a fortress in southern Israel, southwest of Gaza. Then the king of the south, and this is Ptolemy IV now, 221 to 203 BC, will march out in a rage and fight against the king of the north. And this is Antiochus III, the mentioned one. This is also known as Antiochus the Great, because he was the greatest of these kings. So Ptolemy IV is going to march out against Antiochus III, fight against the king of the north, Antiochus III, who will raise a large army but will be defeated. When the army is carried off, the king of the south, that's Ptolemy again, will be filled with pride, and he will slaughter many thousands, yet he will not remain triumphant. But the king of the north, that's Antiochus III again, will muster another army, larger than the first, and after several years, he will advance with a huge army fully equipped. In those times, many will rise against the king of the south. Where should I start here? Well, let's continue reading. The violent men among your own people, so Jews, Daniel, he's talking to Daniel here still. So the violent men among your own people will rebel in fulfillment of the vision, but without success. Then the king of the north will come and will build up siege ramps and will capture a fortified city. So where are we here? The fortified city is the Mediterranean port of Sidon. The fifth king of the north is Ptolemy V Epiphanes. That's the south, not north. Antiochus III attacked Egypt in 201 BC and had plenty of outside help, including Philip V of Macedonia. So that's one of those kings that we left behind in Greece somewhere. Antiochus III killed nearly 10,000 infantry men. So that's what's going on there. He captured Sidon, the fortified city, in 109, 199, 198 BC with the help of rebellious Jews. Okay, hang on a second. I may have made a misstatement earlier. There's a lot I'm trying to keep track of, and this is kind of confusing. So I apologize if this is confusing. Like I said, I've been trying for a couple of weeks now to figure out how I'm going to do this chapter. Okay. The Ptolemies originally had control of Egypt and Palestine. I misspoke earlier when I said that the kingdom of the north, the Seleucid Empire, had control of the land of Israel at the beginning. They did not. The Ptolemies did. Ptolemy had Egypt and Palestine, Phoenicia, and the coast of Asia Minor. And so the Jews who are living in this territory at this time, this is their own land, have been largely under the control of the king of the south, the Ptolemies, up to this point. So they're trying to fight the king of the south, and they're helping the king of the north do that. So that's what we're referring to here, because they want control over their own land. Control currently is in the hands of the king of the south. So that's what we're talking about here in verse 14. Then in those times, many, hang on, let me put my page here, will rise against the king of the south. The violent men among your own people will rebel in fulfillment of the vision, but without success. They're trying to kick the king of the south out of their land. Then the king of the north will come, this is still Antiochus III, and build up siege ramps and capture fortified cities. We mentioned that at Sidon. The forces of the south will be powerless to resist. Even their best troops will not have the strength to stand. The invader will do as he pleases. No one will be able to stand against him. He will establish himself in the beautiful land and will have the power to destroy it. So the king of the north is going to conquer Israel. The king of the south had Israel. The king of the north, Antiochus III in this case, now gets Israel. He will have the power to destroy it. He will determine to come with the might of his entire kingdom and will make an alliance with the king of the south. The king of the south at this time is, which king is it? Ptolemy V. This king of the south is Ptolemy V. He will give him a daughter in marriage. This is the first Cleopatra, not the more famous Cleopatra, who was Cleopatra VII. She's still a couple hundred years away. This is 150 years away. This is Cleopatra I. He will give him a daughter in marriage in order to overthrow the kingdom. So his idea is that his daughter will work on his behalf to undermine her husband's plans for that kingdom. He's thinking that he can control the kingdom of the south through his daughter. Ptolemy V is a small kid. Ptolemy V is not an independent king at this point. So he is thinking that he is going to be able to control this kingdom through his daughter, who will be really the ruler because her husband is not old enough yet to be ruler. But his plans will not succeed or help him, or she will not succeed or help him. She will end up siding with her husband, not her father. So she will not be of use to her father in controlling the kingdom of the south. Then he will, this is Antiochus III again still, turn his attention to the coastlands. That's out in the Mediterranean Sea. So he can't expand any farther to the south. He's not going to go any farther to the east either, into Persia or anything like that. So the only place for him to go is west, into the Mediterranean Sea and the coastlands of the Mediterranean Sea. And he will take many of them, but a commander will put an end to his insolence. These are Roman commanders now. We're now getting, the Romans are starting to enter the picture. So we've left the western kingdoms alone for the most part. The two parts of the kingdom of Greece that involve Greece itself and the areas in west of Israel and the Mediterranean Sea, we've kind of left those alone. We haven't really talked about them much. But over there, they're starting to fall to the Romans. The Romans are taking control of that territory now. And so the Roman commanders, how do you pronounce their names, are going to defeat Antiochus III in a couple of separate battles at Thermopylae and Magnesia in 191 and 190 BC. So he's not going to be able to fight against the Romans. But a commander will put an end to his insolence and will turn his insolence back upon him. After this, so he does not get any farther to the west, he cannot expand any farther to the west, he will turn back toward the fortresses of his own country, but will stumble and fall to be seen no more. Antiochus III, who is the king throughout this section, died while robbing temples. He was taxed by Rome. After he lost to them, they put a tax on him. They also took a couple of his sons hostage, and so, which is common. That was how you kept control of people back in those days. And so in order to pay that tax, he was robbing temples, and he died robbing a temple in Persia in 187 BC. Okay, so that's Antiochus III. This is all a build-up to Antiochus IV. All of this is being given to explain how Antiochus IV comes about, because he's the one that's really going to give the Jews headaches at this point in time.